Well, hello. I want to welcome you to Personal Financial Planning, Charitable Giving, Research Theory, and Marketing. This is PFP 5327, and this is, as you might have figured out, is an internet course. So what I want to do first is just to take a little bit of time, give you of what we're going to be doing in the class, and to review the syllabus and give you some flavor for what's coming up, what's ahead. A couple of things to keep in mind as you think about the course. The first is that although I've taught this course before, this is the first time I have taught a course online. I started teaching college in January of 1994, so I've been doing it for a few years and I feel pretty comfortable in the classroom. But the teaching online is a new area for me. So we're going to try some different things. Because this is a small class, one of the things that I want you to keep in mind is anything that doesn't work, anything that you're not happy with or something's not working. It's a small class. This is the first time that I'm teaching it online, and so I want to adjust to make sure it fits what your expectations are, to make sure that it doesn't get too burdensome in terms of the workload, and to make sure you're experiencing the things that you want to experience in the class. So you have kind of an advantage and a disadvantage. The disadvantage is you're a little bit like guinea pigs, right? We're going to be trying different things out. But the big advantage is it's not like I've taught this online for 20 years and it is what it is and you're never going to change it. In fact, I really do expect to change it quite a bit during the course of the semester and maybe even during the course of the first few weeks. So your feedback is going to be really important in what components you like, what components could be improved, how they could be improved, and in general in how the workload is, how things are going. So keep that in mind. I would say as compared with the typical course that's fairly well fixed, nothing's going to be able to change. Because this course is different, if there's something about it you don't like, don't drop the class. Just communicate and let's see if we can fix it. Now if it's something that absolutely can't be fixed, we can deal with that at this point. But what I would suggest to you is let's work together on this, have it be a good experience for everyone. So don't run for the hills. We're all figuring this out together, and you can just tell me when we hit some bumps in the road, and we'll get those fixed. So do keep that in mind as we go through this process. Okay, so what I want to do today is to review the syllabus. That's what you do on the first day of class. You review the syllabus and you usually have a short class period, and that's ultimately, I think, what we're going to wind up doing for this first class. Now, the syllabus is posted online, and if you have already gotten into Black access to that, then go ahead and you may want to pull that down so that you have that as we're going through this section. After we review the syllabus, I'm going to talk about the initial assignment. It's intended to be just a fun assignment, get you used to some of the technologies we'll be using this semester, which should be fairly plain vanilla technologies. Hopefully the technology is not going to be a complicating factor in the course. And then after talking about the initial assignment, then I'll get into just the first lecture that will help you hopefully with the first reading that we have coming up. So without further ado, let's take a look at the syllabus. Again, if you have it in front of you, this is Personal Financial Planning 5327, Charitable Giving, Research Theory, and Marketing. Now, just a side note there on the title. The original title for the course is Charitable Giving, Research, and Theory, and I'm in the process of submitting a change to the course description so that it will be called Research Theory and Marketing. And the reason being that, having taught it before, I think the most interesting parts of the course are not just the academic, what research is being done, but actually how to use it, right? How do I take this from an academic journal article, translate it into something useful, and now how can that impact me? If I'm working for a nonprofit, how can it impact me? If I'm advising people who are interested in charitable giving, if I am wanting to give advice to nonprofit entities or organizations, how would this change what I do? So we're going to have a real strong emphasis on the practical, like how do I take this information and use it, not use it, and how to actually create marketing concepts, marketing pieces that will help me either in a fundraising context or in a financial planning context to get more donors or get more clients within a nonprofit context. So that's why the change of the course title. Okay, so some details at the top. The syllabus talks about about me, where I'm located in case you're on campus, want to stop by, office hours, and of course by appointment, and phone number, email. And I will mention something here sort of in advance. One of the new things that I want to try that I think will be maybe a little bit annoying for you, but might be better for all the students as a whole, is that when you have questions about the class, maybe it's a content question, I didn't understand this particular thing, or what does this mean, or more likely it's an administrative question. Where do I put this? How do I do that? Where does this go? Instead of emailing me, what I want you to do is to post that on Blackboard. We have the special discussion list. It's called Questions and Comments. I want you to post that on the Questions and Comments discussion board. The reason that I want you to do that is likely other people have the same questions that you do. And so if you post it there, and then I respond to it or another student responds to it, more people can get that information. And so it doesn't require responding to the same question again and again and again. In fact, everybody can see, okay, the question's up there, there's a response up there. And so it's also likely that you'll get a much more rapid response. If you send me an email, it's my goal to get back to you within 48 hours. Now, sometimes it'll be sooner than that, but it may not be, depending on what else is going on, where I am in the country, and all that sort of thing. But if you post on that board, a lot of times you're going to get an immediate student will say, "Oh, I've already run into this. This is the right way to do that." And of course, I'll be checking it to make sure that those responses are correct and are appropriate responses. But I think it's going to be better technique. It's been used in a number of other courses, and so I want to give that a try. So that one's going to be maybe a little annoying at first, but rather than emailing me, what I want you to do is to just go ahead and put that on the discussion board. Now, of course, if there's something that's very private, very personal, if there's a disabilities issue, whatever the case may be, you can email me that. But general questions related to the course content, or course administration, I want you to go ahead and post those on the question and answer, or questions and comments discussion board section of Blackboard. Okay, so let's get into the course. How's this going to work? What are we going to do? I've seen a lot of different online courses, and some of them have components that I like. Some of them have components that I think are dreadfully boring and painful, and painfully text-based and all that sort of thing. So here's what I'm going to do. It's an online course, and it's essentially going to have 3 different components. And in most weeks, we'll probably have all 3 components. And the 3 components are this. Number 1 is a video lecture. That's what you're looking at right now. I'm used to lecturing in the classroom. I think many of you are used to taking lectures in the classroom. So the idea of the internet or the online course is for you to be able to pick the time when you want to listen to that lecture. Now, the way I'm going to do it is, rather than doing 3 separate lectures that are posted during the week, because I actually on campus teach these courses as once a week 3-hour block courses, that's how I'm going to post the videos. Now, not all the videos are going to be 3 50-minute long segments, okay, so they're not necessarily going to be that long, but I'm going to post them all once a week so that you get the sense for when that is done. Just to back up there a little bit, the idea is so that you will get all of those lectures for the week. You'll get all the assignments for the week. You'll get all that in one sort of package. And that package should arrive sometime on Thursday, Friday morning at the latest. So you have all that together, and you'll have it all due at the same time. So it's essentially going to be a once-a-week release of the things you have to do, and a once-a-week due date for getting everything turned back. So the first component is the video lecture. Again, we'll have one of those a week, and those will be released each week. Each video lecture will be associated with an open note online quiz. Now, keep in mind, there's no reason why you shouldn't get 100% on every one of these. These are, I think for the most part, just going to be multiple choice quizzes. We might do some fill in the blank and that sort of thing. But the goal here is that I want to have some mechanism that rewards you for actually suffering through watching these videos, right? And so the way that I can give you something for watching the videos is to do the online quizzes. They're open note. In fact, you can even have the things pulled up while you're watching the video. So if you'd like, when you get the answer to that question, you can just click on it and go through that. So I do want to provide some benefit for you having watched the videos, as that is an important part of the course. So essentially, since I don't have a way to do a roll check to see that you're actually in the course, I'm just putting that open note online quiz that will be associated with each lecture. Now, in some cases, the links to that quiz will be in the lecture itself. Okay, so what that means is that you'll be going along, watching the lecture, and at some point there will be most likely an audio track, or there will be some something on the screen that says, here's where you go for the quiz. And so that's also a way just to kind of ensure that, hey, you're getting credit for watching the video. And so essentially just like sitting in the class, that way I know you've watched it, at least to the point of getting the link, and you've watched it enough to be able to answer the questions. Again, if you sit down, if you watch the things, if you have the quiz up there with you, it's all open note. You can take the quiz anytime during the week. Everything's given out to you on a Thursday. It's due on a Thursday. So anytime during the week, you watch the lecture, you take the quiz. It is unlimited time as long as you get it done during the week. So again, no reason why you shouldn't just get 100% on these. If people are not getting 100%, I'm going to be asking questions like, wait a second, the purpose of this is for you to get all the questions right, to have it open note, to have that quiz available all week long. And so that's a good way to do it. Okay, just as a side note, your online quizzes will typically be quiz questions pulled from a test bank, so they're not going to be identical for everybody. The quiz questions will be pulled at random. Computer doesn't. I don't do it. It's not related to who you are or anything like that. It's just so that if you have two people that are both taking the same course, that are roommates or something, if one person takes the quiz, that's not going to give the identical answers to the other person taking the quiz. Okay, and also do watch the videos to get the links to the quiz. I'm not going to start out doing this, but later in the semester I will actually be uploading separate videos for different groups of people, so that if you get the link from somebody else, which means you haven't watched the video, you're going to be doing the wrong quiz and you won't get any credit for that quiz. It's just sort of a warning up front that I don't want to disadvantage people who don't have a roommate taking the class, and so I'm going to set it up to make sure that pretty much part of the deal is you got to watch the lectures. And if you don't, I'm going to set up traps so that it'll become obvious to me and to the grades that you're not watching the videos, that maybe you just got the link from somebody else, maybe you had somebody else give you the answers to their quiz questions, something like that. I'll just kind of tell you in advance, I'm going to set it up so that that's not really going to work. And the reason is that, I don't think it's fair if you've got one person who's, completely off campus and they have to do everything themselves, and then you've got somebody else who, well, my roommate's taking it so I don't have to do a lot of these things. We don't want that. That's not fair to the person who has to suffer through these kinds of lectures, and so I want to make sure that that it's set up in a way that is fair to everybody. So just to let you know, as long as you watch the videos and do the quizzes that are associated with those, should be 100%. Should be no reason to not do well on that. The second component that we'll be looking at typically is some kind of a reading assignment. And just to make sure you've done the reading assignment so you can get credit for the reading assignment, there will always be some kind of an associated worksheet. So fill out these answers, or I'll be asking for you to comment on something, maybe comment on a summary of what you've read, and what you like and don't like about that. So the readings, we'll get into it. There are going to be two sources. One, we have a textbook for the course, and two, we're going to be actually just reading academic journal articles, and I'll post those online so you don't have to hunt them down. Although, do keep in mind, you even if this is the only class you're taking, and you're taking on a distance basis, you do have access to Texas Tech University Library Resources, which means you can pull down any research article for free as a student. And so we can get into that later. But I'm actually going to post everything, so you're not going to have to hunt it down. It'll be on Blackboard, and you'll know what the articles are. In some cases, when we're doing articles, and we probably won't start out this way, but as we get going, not everybody's going to have the exact same articles to read. We may want to cover, let's say we want to cover 10 different articles. Well, I'm not going to have each person have to read 10 articles, but I might have each person read a couple of articles, and 5 different people are going to get 5 different sets of assignments. So keep in mind that can rotate, that can change. Now, when we read the textbook, we're all going to be reading the same chapters. And just a note on the textbook, I know that it may take a while for some of you to get the textbook, so I'm not going to have anything that requires you to have the textbook for 2 weeks. I think I've got some textbook stuff initially. I'm just going to post those, the text from that, just to kind of get started. But you do have to buy the book. So if you haven't ordered it already, go ahead and order it. I don't know if the local bookstore will have it, but you can do Amazon or whatever the lowest price place you can find online. But do go ahead and get that ordered. I'm going to give, like I said, a 2-week window before we'll jump into it, but you will need to have that after a couple weeks. And then the final element, which most weeks will have, is some type of a creative posting project. And I'll talk more in detail about that here in a minute. Okay, so on with the syllabus. Blackboard is used to disseminate information during the semester. We're going to everything's going to be posted through Blackboard. There will be some links to outside stuff, but the Blackboard is the home where all that's going to be done. Okay, so what else do we have here? Let's see. That we have quizzes. Again, I think we pretty much already talked about the quizzes. The links to the quiz will be provided in the lecture. So you watch the lecture, you're going to get the name or the link of the quiz. And the quiz due date. Quiz due dates are going to be Thursdays at 4 p.m. All of the video lectures will be released on Thursdays. And then the following Thursday is when the quiz is due. Again, that means you've got the whole week. You can take it anytime you want. It is an open note quiz, and you just do it anytime during the week. And of course, I do recommend that you kind of watch the video, have the quiz up at the same time, so you can connect those things. Reading assignments. The reading assignments will be chapters either from the textbook, which is by Rosen, or academic research articles, and you'll have some kind of a worksheet or some other related task. And I think I've already mentioned these things. Just like the quizzes, the reading assignment due date is also Thursday at 4 p.m. Central Time. Now, why are we starting out with Thursday at 4 p.m.? Here's the reason why. What I have found is that when students are most in need of assistance from the professor is right before something's due. So by putting this at Thursday at 4 p.m., I am usually available. My office hours are Thursday morning. I'm usually around Thursday afternoon. I can be right there to help you out, to respond to any last minute things that come up. If I was to make the assignments due, say, Thursday at midnight. Well, guess what? I'm not going to be answering your questions an hour or two before the thing's due. So we need to have a sort of common due date, and that's when I'm going to be most available to help you. And so that's why 4 p.m. And also I teach an on-campus class at 5:30 p.m. So that gives a little bit of time for me to make sure that I'm definitely going to be available to you during those times. So that's why everything will always be due Thursday at 4 p.m. Now, if Thursday at 4 p.m. doesn't work for you, no problem. Just decide that it's all due Wednesday at midnight, or Wednesday at 2 p.m., or Tuesday afternoon. I mean, you're going to get the stuff on Thursday. You're going to have a whole week. So if you don't like this particular due date, just back it up a little bit and, have 5 days instead of 7, or 6 days instead of 7. So that's up to you. And then finally, the creative posting project. Okay, let's talk about this, because this is something that is a little bit different. I've done this with a number of classes before, so I think you'll be able to adjust to it fairly well. Basically, what these projects are is you're going to put together a PowerPoint type presentation. If you're not using PowerPoint, that's fine. Just either save it as a PowerPoint or save it as a PDF document. And you're going to be doing that presentation on some topic. The second thing you're going to do is you're going to do audio narration. And what I mean by that is you're going to record onto, usually just onto a laptop, onto your desktop computer. You're going to record your narration of the PowerPoint. We'll get into the details of that, and so I'll spend a little bit more time later. We're going to start out with just kind of a fun, light assignment. And so I'll go through exactly how you can do that. Now, quite possibly some of you in the class are thinking, well, that seems, really basic, that it's just a PowerPoint and then a separate audio file, like a separate MP3 file. Why don't I just do a video? Here's the response to that. If you want to do a video, like I'm doing here, and you want to combine, or if you just want to do a video where the slides come up and the audio is on the same track, that's great, and you're welcome to do that. But if you do that, the way you're going to have to submit it is you're going to have to upload it to YouTube and then submit the link. There's a couple of reasons for that. The reason that I don't want you to create video and send it to me is, number one, those files are too big. And you're going to get lots of errors on Blackboard. It's going to freak out when you try to send a file size that's that big. PowerPoint files tend to not be that big. Audio files tend to not be that big. Should go over Blackboard just fine. Movie files, if you try to send them, a lot of times they're massive, and it's not going to work to send them to me. The other reason is that even if you were successful in sending them to me, there are so many different types of movie files. And sometimes I'm able to convert them, sometimes I'm not able to convert them. So the other problem is that with these assignments, many cases, the other people in the class, the other students, are going to be viewing what you've done and then commenting on it. If you're sending this massive file that's in some unusual format, not only is it going to be hard if you get it to Blackboard, but it's going to be hard for other students to pull it off of Blackboard, and then, whether or not they have the software to be able to read that, I mean, that's a whole another level of complication. So basically, you can do one of two ways. The sort of archaic, simple way is you just send a PowerPoint and you send an audio file. Boom, boom. Okay? If you want to do a full video and combine the things, that's great, but you got to post it to YouTube and send the link, because everybody has the ability to get on the internet and look at a YouTube video. I am assuming everybody has the ability to view a PowerPoint file. Even if you don't have PowerPoint, you can download a free PowerPoint reader and you can view the file, right? Everybody has the ability to view a PDF. That software is free. And for the most part, I think any modern operating system, people are going to be able to listen to an audio file. And we'll get into it. There are specific formats. You have to submit it either as an MP3 or, if you'd like, a Windows Media Audio WMA file, just so we've got a standard file that everybody should be able to read. Okay, so that's the basic concept of the creative posting project. And usually how it's going to work is this. 1 week, you're going to have some creative posting project due. That means you're doing the audio narration, and which is an audio file, and you're doing the PowerPoint. Then the next week, you're going to be commenting on other people's presentations that they've made. And you'll be assigned which ones to look at, that sort of thing. And then the third week, you're going to look at the comments that you got, agree with them, don't agree with them, whatever. You don't have to do everything that people say. You don't have to, just sort of keep it in mind. And you'll see some of my comments there too. And then you're going to do the final project that you're going to submit on that third week. Now, some things to keep in mind. During the second week, when you're looking at other people's presentations and you're posting those comments, we're not going to have any lecture during that week. So that week, absolutely no lecture. You'll have a 2-week gap in between lectures. I know that might be heartbreaking for you, but you'll have to get through somehow. Maybe just watch one of the old lectures again to kind of, get that flavor back in your mouth. But we're not going to have any lecture during those weeks because you'll be watching the other videos. Let's talk a little bit about, well, I guess we'll talk about grading a little bit later, but let me give you the basic concept on the grading of the creative posting projects. Your first posting, which is the creative posting project assignment, this is mostly just going to be a grade that says you did it and you got full credit, right? You either did it, you followed the assignment, or you didn't, and you're pretty much going to be getting full credit for that. Now, you wouldn't get full credit if, you didn't follow the assignment, or it's just absolute complete junk, right? But in most cases, you should get full credit for that first one, okay? The second grade comes from your comments on the other people's postings. Now, keep in mind for these comments, your comments don't affect their grade, right? So it doesn't have to be something where you come on and say, everything's nice because I don't hear this person's grade. Everybody can trash what you've done, and it doesn't have any effect on your grade, okay? In fact, we're trying to make it better. And it doesn't really make it better, makes you feel good maybe, but it doesn't make it better if people just come on and say, oh, that was really nice, I like this part, I like that part. It's not really what we're looking for. We're looking for a better end product. So we want comments that say, at least part of them, that say, hey, here's an idea. How about adding this? Why not do this? I don't like this part, change it, do this with it. Well, I think you're wrong in this area, or this doesn't appeal to me. Give some suggestions on some things that can be done. Okay, so that second part will be graded, and what's being graded is the postings and the effort that you're putting into helping out fellow classmates. Then the final week, the third week, where you read all the comments and then you revise and submit, that's the big daddy. That's the one that's actually the biggest part of the grade. It's essentially 25% for the initial posting, which pretty much you're going to get credit for that. 25% for the comments, and then 50% for what you turn in finally. And that is going to be just purely graded based on what other comments have given, how good it is, how much effort you put into it, and we'll get into those as the semester progresses. Now, keep in mind that this course is intended to be very practical. And as we get into these creative posting projects, what you're going to find is you get to pick the context for what you're going to be doing. So if you're working with an organization right now, then pick projects that you can use right now. That's the goal. We want this to be practical. We want it to be usable. Okay, so we want to pick these projects that you can use and that you can so you can basically double count, right? Doing something for where you are now, and also something that counts for the class. At least for those of you that are already involved in one way or the other with this area. Okay, so those creative posting projects, they are due when they are assigned every week, Thursdays at 4 p.m. Central, just like everything else. Okay, so what's next in the syllabus? We've got participation. Oh, just as a side note here, you can receive extra credit of up to 5% for a couple of different things. One, if somebody posts a question on the question and answer bulletin board segment, question comment bulletin board segment, and before I get there, you're up there and you say, oh yeah, I've had that, this is how you do it. Or anytime you give a correct and a complete answer, then that's going to go into extra credit participation. That's sort of above and beyond. You don't have to do that, but that's going to positively affect your grade. Also, if I post a quiz question and there is a substantive error in that quiz question, and you locate that and you let me know that, and you say, hey, I think this is an error, and I agree with you that that was confusing, that was an error, we need to fix that. That's also going to result in extra credit points for sort of above and beyond participation. Okay, required text. There's only one text, which is the Rosen book, Donor-Centered Plan Gift Marketing by John Wiley & Sons, available Amazon, various places like that. Do go ahead and order that now. If you haven't ordered it, pause this, go get on and order it so that it's getting ready to go, because you will need that within 2 weeks. The rest of the things, I'm just going to be posting academic journal articles. You will need computer access to get to Blackboard. You will need to be able to create a PowerPoint or PDF slide presentation. If you're doing it in some other format, as long as you can save it as a PowerPoint or PDF format, that's fine. You will also need to be able to make a voice recording, that is an MP3 or a WMA file. Now, if you say, I don't know if I have the ability to do that, if you've got a computer, you can go to Walmart and pick up an $8 microphone, plug it into your computer. Your computer already comes with software that allows you to record, and we'll talk specifically on how to do that, either with your computer, or it may take a look at some freeware that you can download that will allow you to record as well. All right, communicating with the professor. So as I mentioned, my office hours are Thursdays. I plan to be available during office hours on Thursday morning, typically the rest of the day on Thursday. I'm generally here just focused on the stuff that we're doing. Again, post any course-related questions to the questions and comments section so that answers will benefit all students. My goal is that if you post a question or send me a question, that I'm going to get back to you within 48 hours. If you send me an email, the goal is you're going to get a response within 48 hours. Not 4 minutes, but at least within 2 days. It'll normally be shorter than that, but no guarantees, and hopefully you'll be pleasantly surprised. If you want, we can set up a time to chat on Blackboard, to talk on the phone. We can Skype via the internet. Just contact me with when you are available. Ideally, if you're available during office hours, let's do it then. If not, if you're available any other time during Thursday business hours, let's do it then. If that doesn't work for you, then just let me know what time works for you, and we'll try to get something set up. Okay, late work policy and attendance. Well, it's not really attendance, right, because this is an online course and it's asynchronous, so we're not doing normal attendance, but late work policy. Everything's due Thursday, 4 p.m. Central Time, okay? If you post something 4:01 or 4:02 on Thursday, it's late. You receive a 10% grade reduction if you post it between the due date, Thursday at 4 p.m., and Sunday night at midnight. Okay, so that 10% penalty gets you an extra 3 days, okay, because we're not counting the weekend as being sort of working time. So if you've got something that comes up, oh my goodness, I'm not going to get this, I'm not going to get this done, there's just no way. I've had a bunch of stuff come up this week, I've been sick, I've been, whatever. It's only 10%, and you get the whole weekend, right? So that's to keep in mind. This isn't based on excused, unexcused, I was dying. I'm not going to get into all that because, look, I can't do that in a course where I've got students and we're meeting face to face every week or every 2 days, there's no way I can know. I don't want to be in the business of making these value judgments of, oh, well, that was a good enough excuse, but no, your excuse, no, that's not good enough. No, I'm not going to do that. Just straightforward for whatever the reason is. Of course, if you know you're going to miss, that's easy because you have a whole week to turn in the assignments. You just turn them in a little bit early. But if something comes up, you get a whole 3 days. Actually, I guess more than 3 days. 3 days plus the rest of Thursday for a 10% penalty. Not the end of the world. After that, after Sunday at midnight, you're going to lose another 10% for every day. So if you turn it in on Monday, that's going to be a 20% reduction in the grade. Turn it in on Tuesday, 30% reduction. Turn it in on Wednesday, 40% reduction. If you turn it in on Thursday or later, going to be a 50% reduction. So do get those turned in. So it's not real painful if you just wind up, oh boy, I need the weekend for this, right? That's not going to be real painful to you. If you get beyond that, then you're just unnecessarily going to cause great problems for yourself. And this course is not intended by any means for those of you that are in other programs, it's not intended to bring down your GPA, right? It's intended for everybody to do well, for everybody to come out with a good grade. I mean, it's fairly straightforward on a lot of the components of the projects, right? Do the reading assignment, fill out the worksheets right there. Watch the video, do the online quiz. It's right there. You got a whole week to do it. It's not intended to be a course that's going to bring your grades down, right? So just stay on top of it, and it's fine. If you get behind, then the whole thing kind of blows up. But that's really the nature of an online course, though. It's you got to stay on top of it. Okay, grading information. So basically, the grade structure is this. Quarter of your grade comes from the online quizzes. Those are the OpenNote online quizzes that are associated with each lecture. A quarter of your grade comes from your reading-related assignments, which will be reading worksheets or possibly reading commentaries. And then half of your grade comes from the creative postings. Okay, the creative posting is broken up as, and I think maybe earlier I'd said it was 25, 25, 50, but it's actually more heavily weighted to your final creative posting. 10% of that your total grade comes from your initial creative postings. 10% of your total grade comes from your commentary on other people's creative postings, and 30% of your final revised creative postings account for 30% of your grade. So it's really the emphasis is on just get something out there for the initial, make good comments, but then the big emphasis is what do you ultimately turn in? What do you ultimately create in your final revised version? And that's where the major grade component is going to be. Now this first assignment that we're going to do is just kind of a fun assignment. It's not going to have a final revised posting. It'll just be the initial creative posting, and we may do some commentary on that. So it's not a massive part of the grade. It's just kind of a getting familiar with things part of the grade. And as we're doing that first assignment, which we'll talk about more in detail here in a minute, do keep in mind that if you have questions on the technicalities, this isn't posting, this isn't whatever, the first thing you do is you post those questions on the comments and questions discussion board so that everybody else can learn the same thing at the same time. Plus, you give somebody else an opportunity for extra credit, assuming I don't get to it before they do. Final grades are pretty straightforward, 90, 80, 70, 60, and below 60%. So far in the graduate courses I've taught here last year, I didn't give any D's, didn't give any F's, and I think I didn't give any C's. So that should be encouraging to you, right? This is not intended to be a brutal course for your grades or time-wise, otherwise unreasonable. Okay, so the next thing on the course is the course description and purposes for the course. You can kind of read what's in the syllabus. Let me just kind of give you the big picture. What are we trying to accomplish in this course? What I want to do is I want us to go through the process of reading academic research and pulling things out of that. First deciding, do we believe it or not? Do we care or not? And if we care and if we believe it, then translating those results into actual marketing changes in behavior. Now that marketing might be fundraising. It might be that you're interested in a nonprofit context. That marketing might be as a financial advisor that you want to market to clients who have charitable interests. You maybe want to market your expertise as a financial advisor who can provide some of the technical expertise for planned giving. It may be that you want to combine things where you're in a financial advising context and you want to get access to the significant donors of local nonprofits, and so you want to create a win-win where you're providing these planned giving services. The donors are helped out because now they know how to give more at the same cost from the nonprofit's perspective, or perhaps give the same at a lower cost from the donor's perspective. And the nonprofit benefits because they have more dollars coming in the door. It's now cheaper for the people to give. And you benefit because you're now getting high net worth clients that are getting used to using your expertise in saving them money. So whatever your context is, whether it's you're interested in a nonprofit context, you're interested in a financial advising context, whatever that context may be, this course is open to that. And the projects that you choose and the projects you select can be focused on exactly what you want to do. Now, I will say that the core field for which all of these things are going to be the most obviously applicable are those in nonprofit context, a planned giving context. But I also am going to make sure we take some time to say, if you're not in a nonprofit context, if you're in a financial advising context, consulting context, how you can use these same things. So the goal is to take those ideas from the academic journal articles and apply them in a real-world marketing context. So we're talking about creating some marketing plans for a particular organization, whether that be a nonprofit organization or a financial advising organization, and then creating specific marketing pieces that relate to those overall plans. And that's what we'll be spending a good part of the semester doing. Now, that seems pretty straightforward, but it's not. If you haven't spent a lot of time reading journal articles, then it's going to be a challenge. But that's what we're going to talk about next on how to make it less challenging. If you have spent time reading journal articles, guess what? We're going to look at journal articles from a wide range of field. And so you're probably going to need to learn some new skills just to be able to bring all that together. You know, you might have gotten used to reading journal articles in public administration. Some of the information that we're interested in is going to be in journal articles in everything from neuroimaging to economics. And we're going to go through those and talk about how you can get the relevant part out of a journal article when you're not an expert in the field and when you don't want to spend, hours and hours learning everything there is to learn about that journal article. So we'll talk about that next. Expected learning outcomes, you can read those. The basic overview is what I just gave you. Methods of assessment of learning outcomes, we've already talked about that. Quizzes, worksheets, commentaries, creating marketing plans and products, written commentaries, that sort of thing. ADA compliance, you can read that. Academic integrity, right, like don't cheat. It's not going to be as easy to cheat in this course because most of your grade comes from these postings that are going to be pretty specific to what you're doing. So it's probably going to be pretty hard to do it. But if you're successful at doing it, then I will attempt to be successful at identifying that you've done that. This is probably not a course to do that in. Part of my background, which you'll hear about a little bit later, I used to work in the U.S. Attorney's Office in the that's the federal prosecutors in the narcotics division in Kansas City for the Department of Justice. So I have that little bit of a prosecutor bent. That's like, oh, how can I catch that, right? I actually don't think it's going to be much of a problem in this course. Number one, it's a grad course, but number two, I mean, it's kind of, how do you cheat when the quizzes are open note and online and you have a week, right? I mean, okay. Anyway, don't cheat. Do your own stuff, and don't just get information from other people. Plagiarism. Don't do that either. I know how to use Google. Oh, yeah, that's so. I don't think in a grad course we're going to run into that, but don't engage in plagiarism. And if you do engage, then you're supposed to pay the money to hire somebody to do it for you, not just block and copy off of Google, because that's easy to catch. But don't do that either. Resolving student issues. Yeah, let me know. Like I said, first time online, so let me know as we go through the semester. Don't get frustrated. Don't drop the class. Just let me know. Just say, hey, this isn't working out, or hey, this is good, this isn't good. We want to do more of this, less of that. I don't like the way we're doing this. Can we change? It's all open. It's all flexible. So keep those lines of communication open. Okay, now finally we get to the course outline. And this is tentative. We get into topics that you want to spend more time on, we can spend more time on. If we start going long on things, we may make other things shorter. But this is the basic outline. This is the basic idea. Okay, and again, I'm trying to set this up so that it's a reasonable time commitment on your part. If we get into it, find it's not reasonable, we may back down some of the components. But initially, feels like it should be about right for a grad course, and we'll get into it, and you can tell me your thoughts on if you agree or not. Okay, so week one is, and we'll talk about these assignments here shortly. Who makes planned gifts is the reading. Then the lecture is what you're going through right now. We'll talk about the assignment and how to read research, and you'll have a creative posting project that's due this week as well. And if a couple of things to notice as you look through this, and you can read through the topics yourself and get some idea of what happens there, is that 1 week when we have the reading, okay, then the very next week is when we'll have the lecture. So basically, you do the reading assignment, it's on a topic, and then after you've done the reading assignment, then you're going to get a lecture on the topic. And so that way, you're ready for the lecture when it comes, ideally. That in an ideal world, you'll see different parts in your reading, and then the lecture will kind of bring the whole thing together. So you'll notice that. We talk about income influencing giving, demographic factors, and then the very next week after the reading, the lecture is on that topic. Then look at the creative postings, and you'll see that same sequence that I talked about. If you ignore this first week, because we're just kind of doing this for practice. I mean, you'll get credit for it, but it's just kind of for practice. After that, we have this process where you're going to post first, say, a marketing plan. Then you're going to post comments the next week. In that week that we post comments, during that week there will be no lecture, so you'll see the none next to it. And then the big assignment is to post the revised distance marketing plan. And when that happens, then that'll be the major grade. So again, those things will be due at the end of the week, and so that's why the week is set up on that Thursday to Thursday basis, because you get everything posted, and then it's due at the end of the week at 4 o'clock. All right, so we have Thanksgiving week break. What are some other things? The very last week we don't have a reading assignment because the idea is reading assignment is the week before we do the lecture. That last week won't be the week before. We don't have a final exam. The grades are what I've indicated that they are already. Okay, I've been talking for a while. I'm going to take a break here, and then when we come back, what I'm going to do is talk about the assignment first, and then I'm going to talk about how to read research articles, because I'm going to give you something to read, due at the end of the first week, and I want to give you some ideas for how you go about that, doing that reading process. So quick break here, and we'll come